Hi, welcome to the Diablo podcast. We are online at diabloincgamers.com. I am the host, Flux. I'm joined this week by Xanth
Hoy hoy.
and a new first-time guest, Ryan. You're going by, what are we calling you on the podcast?
Ynzerg.
And that's Ynzerg.
Yeah, Pittsburgh Zerg.
And this is your first time on the podcast. Have you ever done another podcast?
No, I haven't actually.
And give the listeners a quick rundown of your Diablo 3 play experience. What classes and hardcore or softcore, what do you like?
Yeah, so in Diablo 2, my friends and I like once we started playing hardcore, we never went back. For many years. And then so D3 I started softcore because I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. And then once I got comfortable, I went to hardcore and never really, I never actually not never really. I never went back. And mainly I played Barb, and honestly, actually the first Barb. This might speak to overpoweredness, but the first Barb I ever made is still not dead yet. So like I've had him forever. So he's kind of my main dude, and I have a few guys I'm trying to level up. Like I'm really interested in like whenever I watch like people doing CM Wizard, that looks really fun. So I'm trying to start that out, and then maybe if I can afford it, do the Archon thing eventually. But so I'm noodling around with other stuff right now. And then so most of my main like I cleared Inferno last night with the Barb for the first time actually. So that was pretty fun. That was cool. Yeah.
And you got a really good drop from Diablo, I bet,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Made
Four
it worth all the trouble?
four rares, man. They were really good. They weren't very good.
Yeah,
No.
but And Xanth, you're a regular guest and our hardcore columnist. What have you been up to in the game lately?
The slow push towards Paragon 60 on my monk, and then messing around a little bit with my wizard. I played a demon hunter for about 15 minutes, so that was a real treat. And then
Yeah, part of that was with my new monk, and you jumped in the game and did like a level and a half and said, "I don't like this." Then you went and played your monk some more.
yeah, I jumped in. I'm like,
Even with me there to tank for you, you're like, "No, do not
yeah,
want. Bye
I'm
bye."
like, no, this still feels wrong. And then I left and went right back to the monk. Um, so
The thing I liked about that game is that we were like level, I don't know, 13 and 17 or something. So obviously we're at early Act 1. You're running around picking up all the stacks of gold.
it's I
After the kills, I see you making these little detour slaloms. I'm like, you have like 200 million gold in the bank and a level 60 Paragon. You're picking up stacks of 17 gold in the festering woods.
you don't get rich by leaving money behind. Okay.
Ben Frank,
You don't get rich.
the Ben Franklin of
It comes with that.
Diablo.
Yeah.
Yeah, penny saved is a penny not earned.
Yeah, I mean
A Bobby earned.
that could purchase something in the future, or
Yeah, and of course,
you know,
the same amount of playtime, you find one tome of secret, and you've just made 47,000 gold. So,
yeah, that is the advantage, obviously. As you're talking about your auctions, I'm just like, well, that was four tomes of secret for me. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah, we'll get to all that hardcore econ stuff later. That's kind of the main topic here. We're going to get into. We're also going to talk about here's a preview for the listeners. Ooh,
ooh,
previews. Hardcore economy stuff, differences between softcore and hardcore, what it's like, what the lack of a real money auction house is doing. And then we're going to get into itemization about the new non-updates we received from the developers
mm-hmm.
and some of the console information coming out. I'm sure you guys are both got your PlayStation 4s on pre-order already.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
But first, we have a trivia quiz. Ooh, it's an exciting new feature that will probably never be repeated again. But what I've been noticing playing my monk through, I hadn't made a new character since like July. I mean, literally. I have the five soft cores that are all level 60, and I just kind of play them in Inferno. And I had a demon hunter hardcore that died off, but she'd been level 40 since like September. I just hadn't played her in a long time. And one of the things I'm noticing while I was playing, including yesterday while Xanth was doing some turboing for me or massacring things in Nightmare while I was leveling from 30 to 40 in 15 minutes, is you see these item names that I've like never seen ever since last summer. I'm like, what the hell? What's a parachute? You see these things lying on the ground, you just literally have no idea what they are. And there's lots of really weird item names in Diablo 3. I thought it'd be funny to go through and look up some of the funny ones to give you guys, just throw them out there and say, okay, what is this? And see if you know it. Because I didn't know most of them. So we're going to go, we have different ones for each of you guys. We're going to do just a few of these here at the start. First, and I made sure they're fairly evenly distributed in terms of how hard they are to figure out what they are. At
Uh,
least by, who knows? Maybe you guys have played different characters than me, so you may have different stuff. But longest intro ever out of the way. Ynzerg Your first. What are igneous studs?
Igneous studs.
Oh, I know this
I
one.
I don't know, but I'm. Is that like a low level monk helm or something? Like the orbs, the beads? You know, I'm not sure actually.
It is. Good guess.
Oh yes, nice, cool.
Okay, here's your first one, Xanth. Equally difficult. What is a great helm?
Um, that's for the barbarian, isn't it?
No, you're wrong. It's just a regular hat.
Damn.
Okay, your second one, Ynzerg.
Yeah.
Kukri. Kukri.
It sounds witch doctory. I don't know, witch doctor offhand of some sort.
You're close. It's a level 53 dagger,
Dagger.
not witch
Is it?
doctor.
It's a legend.
Okay. No, well, I don't. I'm not looking at that now,
Oh,
but
okay.
probably not.
Alright.
These are all regular item names, not uniques or whatever.
Okay.
Okay, Xanth, your second one.
Uh,
Tough
all
one.
right.
What's a death mace?
Um, this, again, it feels like a trick. I'm gonna go with a um, two-handed weapon.
No, you're wrong. It's a two-handed. It is a two-handed weapon, but it's just a regular mace. It's not a barbarian one
Hmm.
or anything. Okay, your third really tricky one here, Ynzerg.
Yes.
What's a maw axe?
Maw axe. Oh, isn't that? Well, actually, I might be wrong. I know I've seen this, but oof, isn't that just like a one-handed barb axe? Actually, I don't.
You are correct. It is a one-handed barb axe.
Okay, I thought so.
Okay, you guys have totally ruined my strategy here, by the way. Okay, Xanth, your last one. What's a weathered hand axe?
A what?
A weathered hand axe.
I'm just. Oh, is that a barb one-hander?
No, it's a regular one-handed axe.
God damn it, Flux.
Okay. Okay, the final score is 2-0 for Ynzerg. Despite the fact that I tried to pick hard ones for you and ones for Xanth that were absolutely obvious and stupid, just to play a joke.
But
Okay, here's the new guy on the podcast gets the hard questions.
I mean,
And on all three of them, Xanth talked himself out of the obvious answer and tried to find something obscure.
it just seems like it should have been. I'm just saying that.
Knowing
I
me.
knew the igneous studs from playing a monk for so long.
Yeah. Okay, here's some real ones I'll just throw out for both you guys. What's a cardinal
A bird.
in Diablo 3?
A demon bird.
It's a wearable object. It's armor.
Oh,
I
it's
was
for
just
the
thinking it's
demon
bird
hunter,
and
isn't it?
Yeah, you win, Xanth. It's a 53 Demon Hunter cloak.
Mm.
What's a copperhead?
that's the offhand
Oh,
for a witch doctor, right?
yeah.
53 Witch Doctor Mojo.
Emoji. Yeah,
Okay, we'll get
mojo.
to them. What's a Yumi? Yumi?
Is that a source?
No.
Oh, okay.
Any other guesses?
Is that a dagger?
No. It is a weapon, though.
Poleaxe?
No. Okay. It's a 37 bow.
Mm.
Regular two-handed bow.
That is
Yeah.
not a bow name.
No, there's some weird ones in here. Okay, what's a nail splitter?
Crossbow.
That's crossbow. Yeah.
It's a level 25 hand crossbow. What's a labrys? Labrys.
I've seen this.
Um,
I'm gonna go
It's
source.
sort of a larynx. It's that soft dangly thing in the back of your throat. Okay, no, it's not. Oh, you had a real guess?
dagger.
Nope.
Mm.
I'm gonna double down on source.
Nope.
Okay.
The level 55 two-handed axe.
Ugh.
Okay.
Okay, last one. What's a croc? CROC.
I have no idea what that is.
Now, obviously, that should be the really ugly shoe in the game.
I was
but
just gonna say a really ugly shoe, but
it's a weapon.
Hmm.
Level 40.
Level 40.
is it an axe? One-handed axe?
Nope. Nope. It's a pole arm. A level 40 pole arm.
Croc.
I think I've proved my point here. There's a lot of really weird stuff.
Yeah.
We were playing yesterday, and you really notice them when they're rares. I did a news post years ago with the unspeakable thing as the rare. You just see that this yellow name on the ground. It's really quite amusing. But when Xanth was turboing me through Act 3 Nightmare, I saw, what was it, a Mameluke? I think it was.
It was like a Tazenki or something like that.
One of those, and you're like, okay, this is probably a weapon, but maybe it's like a Daibo, which have some really weird ones because nobody ever picks them up.
No.
I mean, I bet.
So that's one of the perks of re-rolling, though. You see all this weird crap you've never seen before, and you're like, what is this?
And then you never use it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Actually, in hardcore, some of them you do sell, which is kind of the whole point. But my favorite one, I think, is a batter smash,
Is that like
which
that two-handed like trunk thing?
yeah, it's one of those weird two-headed mighty weapons. They also have like the redwood tree club and stuff. The other
Uh,
weird names.
yeah, those weapons were like very with purpose created to be completely useless. Like
Yeah, aggressively useless.
aggressively useless. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, last one. Trost. Trost.
I hear a keyboard. Is someone Googling that?
I'm
No.
just I'm deleting the ones that we've asked. I want to ask them again.
Trust.
Trust.
I know that's like a sad word in German, I think. Or maybe I might be
I'm gonna
I might
I'm
be
gonna
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
free too.
random and say shoulders.
No,
Yeah.
it's a weapon.
Mm.
Trust is a mace.
Nope.
Crossbow.
It's a 44 Daibo, one of those two-handed monk weapons that no one
Uh,
has ever used for any reason.
No, not
yeah.
at all.
Okay, moving on. Congrats for not looking these up, though. I figure one of you guys start scrambling to suddenly, dig up typing this into some search engine. But yeah, I have like 50 more of these, so I can ruin the next 5 podcasts as well with this.
If the quiz segment is popular, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Oh, how could it not be?
There's five
And you both,
minutes of people listening at home just going, okay, all right, we get it.
yes, but I enjoyed it though. That's really all that counts.
Right.
That's one of my big perks for this. That and all the chicks I meet,
Yep.
via the podcast. I
Mhm.
shaved before the show, by the way, so I'd look good for if any of there are any ladies listening. But perhaps it will look worse, depending on how you sum that up. Okay, hardcore economy. You guys have both been playing a lot of hardcore forever and ever,
Mhm.
and I've recently played a little bit, and then I actually found the economy more interesting than the game itself. It's because it's just there's a really thriving market for low-level crap. And what it's felt like to me a lot of times is it's almost like a rental. Like I'll get to level 32, hey, I need a new, whatever, belt, shoulders, weapon. So I'll go and look at stuff, and there'll be ones for like 50 and 100K, which I don't even have that much gold. Well, actually, I do, but just barely. And I'm like, I'm not going to pay 50K for a shoulders I'm going to wear for 7 levels. It seems insane. But then you realize you can pretty much sell it back for what you paid for it, almost guaranteed, and it actually sells. So I haven't been getting 50K stuff, but I've been doing a lot of things that are 25 and 30K, like in the level 30, 40 range, which I would never have paid in softcore, because, why? But hardcore, if you die, it's I've been told it's bad, and you can sell it back. So really, it's like, the auction house is like the rental house. You just pick it up for 5 levels, 10 levels, and then you sell it back. And that doesn't happen so much with softcore, even with in-game stuff, where you'll pay 12 or 15K for something. I mean, gold, 12 or 15 million for something, and then it's like, a month later, hey, I can get 6.5 million for this now. And you're like, well, that was not the best of investments. So you guys have been leveling, and you're probably more established than I am, so you've got twinks and stuff. But I mean, you obviously enjoy the hardcore economy, and you can sell lots of stuff. Any takes on that, Ynzerg?
Yeah, well, I don't have a lot to say about the low level economy, yeah, because
Yeah, that's
I haven't
your time.
if I do level someone up, I'm just gonna give him stuff. You know what I mean? But what I found was interesting is and I'm sure this happened at softcore too, but like when they changed the crafting, of course, like crafting supplies skyrocketed like crazy, but also like everything in that item slot range is like completely worthless on the auction house now, except for like certain things. Like it's so easy to get best in slot from crafting now, almost that it like those items, like when you find the rares, like occasionally you could find one that you could sell, but it's very 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 hard to sell that. Like, it's almost impossible to sell that now. I would say like because you can roll like a trifecta glove with like over like 250 300 strength, and it's like it's outrageously overpowered. And I've noticed that like I just can't sell that stuff anymore, and it's not even worth looking for it. You just want to craft that stuff. I'm not sure if Xanth found the same experience.
I definitely agree. I mean, I was just telling you the other day, Flux, like you were mentioning a Vile Ward for 5 million that would have gone for 80 million, maybe even more, prior to the patch. Like crafting has kind of destroyed those slots. But what it has done then to the economy is then put a huge emphasis on the slots that you can't craft. So something that, may have sold, like thinking of pants, like I just found a Blackthorn's jousting mail yesterday that may have gone for 30 million pre-patch is now in the 75 to 100 range. So, it's kind of like when you have more money to spend, then you're gonna throw it at those items, and then they start leaving the economy more. So we start to, price them higher because now there's less of them, for comparison, because we don't have to spend as much money on those slots that we would have normally, been throwing our gold at. Some things are still, valuable. Like a really good Lacuni is still going to sell for a huge amount, but
Yeah,
that's few
yeah,
and far between by comparison. Or maybe a really nice amulet, but it's so hit or miss with those items that most people aren't even looking for them anymore. But on the low end side, when I was leveling up, and I've leveled up many many times. Yeah, I think you're right.
And yet didn't remember any of the items you found, oddly enough. You go so fast in those stages, you don't even
Well,
notice it.
yeah, exactly. I wasn't, I had enough gear set aside too that it wasn't too bad, but the renting thing is completely true though, because, you're rushing through these levels, and, eventually you get to the point where you just kind of want to get back to 60. So you jump on the auction house, you buy something for the 30 to 40, and then you sell it back and purchase something for 50 to 60, or, 40 to 50, or whatever it is. Um, and usually you can make your money back. And if the worst thing is you lose a couple thousand, or you just hold on to the item, it's totally usable the next time around, because eventually there's going to be a next time around.
Sad but true. You haven't had a next time around for a while. What's the last heartbreaking death you suffered?
Um, God, it was probably my monk before this one. I think he died at Paragon 16, I want to say. Uh,
And your new one is 58 or something?
yeah, 58. Halfway to 59. Slowly but
It
surely.
slows down around 80, so, keep your eyes
Oh,
open.
it's felt very slow already, but yeah, I would like to get to 80 to experience that slowdown.
One of the funny things I noticed with of course, the crafting, one thing you guys didn't mention is how much it costs to buy the damn materials to craft with now. I mean, I
yeah.
guess you can self-find, but what used to cost 20K to craft now costs like 250K to craft just for tomes of secret and iridescent tears and fiery brimstones and stuff.
Right. I mean,
And that's one thing. One of the funny things, I put this in a news post a couple weeks ago, but I mean, the price of gems, the cheapest Radiant Star gem in hardcore is more than double the price of the most expensive Radiant Star gem in softcore. And it's not like it's hard to find gems. It's just the tomes of secret cost so much that you spend that much more to create the stupid thing.
Yeah.
well,
You can actually three of the gems are cheaper at Flawless Square in hardcore than they are in softcore.
yeah,
And another thing I've noticed that's funny is when I'm looking at weapons in the 30 and 40 and 50 range, almost all of the ones that have been used have a flawless star ruby in them because it actually costs more to unsocket that thing than to buy a new
Hmm.
one. So people just sell it. It's like 1,500 to unsocket it, and it's like 800 to buy a new
That's
one. So people just leave them in
that's
there.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, from the gems perspective, gems have actually dropped since the patch, and I think maybe because people aren't using them as often now.
Yeah, I noticed that
But
too.
because an amethyst right now is like 8,000. Where,
That's for a flawless
yeah,
square,
flawless square, where,
and the next low one is like 470,000
I don't think it's
because tons.
I don't think it's that high, but it might be, a little bit. Um, but, pre-patch they were selling for 20, 25 almost. Um, so they've taken a big hit because, I think with the tombs actually taking over um, the market in terms of, sellability, and like you said, it marks the cost up. People aren't crafting them as much. Um, but tomes, I
Who can
mean,
afford to?
yeah, I mean, tomes are a huge moneymaker now. I remember when they were going for 2,000 at like the top end, and I was saving up, 1,000 of them to sell off, and make a decent chunk of change. But now, I mean, you can do one run, a night's worth of runs or whatever, wind up with 50 or 60, and you've already made a million.
That's why. How's your billionaire plan going, by the way? Almost there?
No, I've been distracted. I bought some gems, and that kind of set me back. But
Who
um,
can afford it?
still at 200, so I'm okay with that.
So how's your econ experience in hardcore gone there, Ynzerg? Are you a billionaire yet?
No, 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 no. I actually, it's funny. I play with another friend who's a monk. Um, and we always like we generally farm together. Like we'll farm alone, but we like to do it a lot together. And I don't know what it is, but like whenever we play together, he gets all the drops. So like the other day we were playing, we just did like one run of A3, and I think he got like five legendaries, and I got nothing. Like the day before that, he found two Litany of the Undaunted rings, like almost back to back. It was kind of crazy. So I'm not I'm not having the best luck with the huge drops, but um, yeah, I have noticed that like the oh, actually not noticed, but one of the things that I thought was interesting because when I came, I took a break for a while of playing, and then I came back after the latest patch and kind of got back into it huge. And I was a little bit like, at first, I didn't really think about the crafting implications right away, and I wasn't even picking up Tomes of Secret. I was just like, I was like, I never crafted before. I was like, why would I need them now? And then my buddy like he spent like all of his money on something, and he's like, I'm poor, blah, and then he's like, I'm going to sell these tomes. I'm like, well, those aren't worth anything. And he sold all his tomes and made like millions, like almost immediately. And then I like that was the first time I realized like that the whole market had changed finally. And I went back and I saw like Xanth was saying, like gems are very affordable now because everything else is so expensive. But like certain items,
The flawless star level's affordable.
yeah, correct.
The next level up is like, oh my god, at least that's my
Yeah,
reaction compared to
definitely.
softcore anyway.
No, I'm
I
curious.
mean, softcore Tomes of Secret are like 400
I was
gold.
actually
I
going
mean,
to
maybe
ask
they've gone
that.
up a little recently.
I was going to ask.
I mean, I bought 1,000 of them like literally like a week ago. I think for 387 a piece, something
Oh
like
my
that.
goodness, really?
I mean, just nothing. And I bought a bunch because I hadn't done any crafting of gems for a while, and I had like literally like 300 flawless squares of a couple of kinds. And I said, screw this, I'm gonna make I'm gonna go up to the next higher level of emerald or whatever. So I just bought a bunch of tomes and did them all myself. Because the only gem that has any value or has any price in hardcore is emeralds. Emeralds are like 4 or 5 thousand a piece, and the other ones are in the hundreds or like 1,200 for a ruby or something. I mean, they're damn near free.
Yeah. I'm sitting on like probably like I don't know 400. Sorry, I'm blanking on intelligence gems. Name, I'm blanking on the name. Yeah,
Topaz.
Topaz. And
Yeah, no one likes
yeah, but I'm
topaz
just
though.
like we always joke like we're holding on to them like at some point like they're gonna make a change and we'll have like this boon of wealth whenever they make them worthwhile because
Maybe someday.
yeah, but some at this point they're completely worthless. Um,
I mean, for a long time, I wasn't even picking up Tomes of Secret in hardcore. I mean, in softcore. Of course, you weren't either, for much to your chagrin. But I mean, my monk I've been playing he's Paragon, I think 81 now, my softcore monk. And for a long time, he's been around 400 gold fine just from gear and stuff. And it's like you're routinely getting stacks of 3,000, 3,500. And small stacks are 800, 1,200. And a Tome of Secret sells for 400. So why would I run back and actually click something when just any run I'm picking up 500k, 400k in gold in like 25 minutes, 30 minutes. There's no reason to. But I mean, it's nice to have them yourself. It feels nicer to craft stuff when you don't have to actually go buy the materials. Like it feels free that way. Even if in the amount of time it took you to pick that damn thing up, you could have actually picked up more gold by killing, monsters and saving Sanctuary from the demons, of course. But obviously, you pick up, you detour out of your way to pick up those damn tomes of secret and hardcore
Oh
these
yeah,
days.
oh yeah, yeah. I actually, yeah, it's weird, man. Like, yeah, I used to, like I said, I used to not even pick them up, and then now when they drop, I feel,
That's why you're not a
yeah,
billionaire.
I feel like, it's almost wired now to be. It's like that reward response in your brain, like when you see a legendary, you're like, yeah, but like now when tomes drop, it's almost like the same thing. You're like, okay, that's pretty good. I got three tomes. Like the rares, of course, are worthless, but you get the tomes and you're excited, because they're
Yeah,
worth so much.
I completely agree. I mean, I don't do runs anymore outside of for experience looking for items. I'm usually just trying to grab as many tomes as I can. I run by, countless amounts of rares, and I'll swing by and, grab a tome that that was maybe, a screen or so away because that will sell. All the yellow on the ground has no chance of it.
But you can make iridescent tears out of them, though.
I can actually I'll make more money selling the item than I will on the tiers if I just, ID it and sell it.
So tears and exquisite essences have not gone up that much. Fiery brimstones are very expensive in
Yeah,
hardcore.
Brimstone will run you 300,000 and then the tiers are like 1,700 right now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, you can usually get at least 250 for the brimstone, or yeah, maybe it's 300 today, but like, so it's nice because all the legendaries are usually junk except for a few, so you can at least get 300K out of it. You know, because usually it won't even sell for near that. So you can always salvage that and sell it.
It's funny the spread on prices. Fiery Brimstones are like 9K in softcore on Americas. I mean, it's almost not worth picking up bad legendaries, like ones that have no chance of being good, because you got to pick it up and then spend 5 seconds to ID it, and you could get more gold than that in the same amount of time practically. I mean, I still do just because what the hell, it's fun. But if you see a legendary drop and it's a crappy item type, like a batter smash or something, and you're just like, oh, okay, mighty weapon or something that's just no chance it's going to be of any
Yeah.
use. You're like, oh crap. Whereas in hardcore, it's like, oh goody, I just made 300K. And the funny thing that is the prices. So of course there are no legendary, Inferno legendaries for under like 400K now in hardcore because that's what the Brimstones are worth. Whereas the low end, you don't even bother to try to sell low end stuff in softcore because it's like literally like 15, 20K. And I mean, who's going to buy that, And there's no reason to even bother with it. You're not going to use it, and it's not worth what the Brimstone is. So I'm looking as I'm leveling up here. There's a couple of funny things on the economy as my monk is 56, looking to get new Inferno at some point unless bad things happen, which they probably will. None of my artisans are maxed out because I've never played hardcore to get a character that high. And all the power ups, like the last 2 level ups for each are like all tomes of secret. That's freaking expensive, man. Like it's like I think it's like 10 of those for the last 2 levels each of the
Oh
jeweler.
yeah.
So that's like 700,000 gold to level up my jeweler the last 2
Yeah.
levels to do nothing, to make a gem, that I can't afford to make anyway. 'Cause that's another billion gold in Tomes of Secret. So I don't know if I'm gonna ever finish leveling up my artisans. I mean, I guess if I play it a ton and get 100 million gold, I will obviously, but or find your own Tomes of Secret. But I'm just looking at okay, I can level up my blacksmith here, and he can make me a pair of shoulders I'll never ever make, and it's gonna cost me 6 Tomes of Secret to do this. Like, wait, why would I do this? I could just go buy a damn vile ward for this much. So yeah, artisans are. You guys, of course, did your artisans months and months ago when Tomes of Secret
Yeah,
were mythic.
exactly.
Right.
So lucky you.
I hadn't even considered the artisans even being a factor on that because, I've been max on artisans since the beginning. But in fact, I actually remember, going onto the auction house to buy the Tomes of Secret because I wasn't in Inferno at the time. And I thought, oh man, they're so expensive. They were like, 500 gold for one or whatever. Um, but now, obviously, that for somebody else, just coming up in hardcore, that's a much more daunting task, and you're gonna want that though because, you want to craft because you can eliminate so many slots that you don't have to go to the auction house for. Um, and the sad thing is, I don't really foresee Tomes of Secret going down for any foreseeable time
No.
because they're only going up. I mean, the week after, because they were around like 10,000 or so before the patch, and then they started slowly going up. And I've seen it go from 20 to 25, and I think it's 27 now. And they sell within minutes. Like you list 100, you list 50 or whatever it is, and it's gone within 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's actually my hope for my econ for the hardcore. I figure I will just get. I'll limp my ass into Act One, find Tomes of Secret, sell those, and buy auction house stuff in the slots that nobody buys anymore because they're all crafting. So this is the penny scraper version of sneaking up that way. So like you said, Vile Wards. I was probably been pricing Vile Wards and other objects, pricing bracers, that kind of thing. And, people are just giving them away now because everybody wants, like as you said earlier, they just want to craft in those slots, which is great if you're poor and just starting off in hardcore. Because you can get, I can get awesome deals on stuff that would never have been
Right.
affordable previously.
But then, as I mentioned before, what it does do then is it makes those other slots much harder to fill on account of, they're jacking up the prices so much because people have more gold to spend on them and they become more valuable since of the rarity.
Yeah, I was considering what I would want to first get at 60 with my monk, and thinking that maybe Blackthorn's pants because they have that big, they have big stat bonuses and they have the life on hit. And of course now, as you said, they used to be 50 million for good ones, now they're 100 million. So it's like maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I have a pair that I'd be willing to part with, but it's gonna cost you.
To me, this kind of begs the question, though. Like, is this was this a good move? Like for instance, my this is my first roll on a chest, or what is it, armor of archon armor of strength. But the first one I rolled, this is obviously super lucky. I got 300 strength, 200 vite, and 3 sockets. And like with some other stats on there, and like there's no.
I bet you could sell that for a lot too. How did that sell
Yeah,
for? Oh
exactly.
wait,
But like, I mean, those slots are I mean, it's almost forever dead. I mean, I don't think I can ever get away from that. I mean, I could obviously, but like, do you think is it too far? You know what I mean? Like, is it like it's so good the best in slot stuff? I wonder. I don't know. That's just what I've been thinking about. Like, because like Xan said, it's never gonna unless that gets like toned back a little bit. That's never gonna change. Really, it's just too easy to get such good items there.
Well, I think, the benefit of the crafting is, there still are options out there that are, maybe a little bit better, or you don't have to spend as much time crafting to get, like I have innas for my monk for the chest, and I have no intention of even attempting to craft anything because it works. And then the set bonus, it's not deal breaking, but it's a nice perk. Or a really nice Lacuni would be better than the crafted bracers that I have. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not the kind of person that wants to sit there and craft for hours on end to maybe go up just a little bit. I mean, obviously there are people out there, but I haven't crafted anything in, well, I think after the first week. Um, and once I got the decent enough rolls that I'm just like, okay, this is an upgrade. I could keep going and maybe see what happens, but I'm not going to push my luck. I feel like I've kind of maxed out here. So now I find myself still looking towards those legendaries in those slots that might be a little bit better that I know are consistent at least. Whereas with crafting it's a waiting game. It's a numbers game, and who knows if it's going to work out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's definitely those select legendaries that are the most just ones that you just can't like like witching hour or something. Like there's I mean not that there's a good crafting option for the belt anyway, but like
Right.
there's nothing out there that's gonna touch
Not
it.
yet.
Yeah, not yet, I guess.
So, two other related points on hardcore econ stuff, and then we're going to get to itemization. What do you think the effect of the lack of a real money auction house has on the hardcore economy? I mean, as I see that, there's two aspects to that. For one thing, you can't have an undergeared character that gold farms because you'll die, and I assume that probably cuts down a lot on the botting for hardcore gold and third-party sites and sales and stuff. But of course, there's no reason really to do it because you can't easily sell it in game the way that people do in softcore. So softcore, the prices of things just keep going up forever, except for everything else we've mentioned on this podcast, Tomes of Secret and stuff. But gear keeps getting more expensive, and there's all these $2 billion items. And like you look at how much gold you've ever picked up. I mean, I'm well over the 100 million gold reward thing, the achievement you get for that. But I've spent, I'm sure, many hundreds of millions of gold, and I've sold things for many hundreds of millions of gold. So it seems I think everybody at a high level has vastly more gold, and it certainly has spent more gold than they've ever picked up. So there's obviously a constant influx of gold that sort of buoys the economy, but you don't have that so much in hardcore. So I mean, it's hard to compare what the difference would be. Of course, now we're looking at the console's not going to have a real money
Right.
auction house either. So why would you gold farm if you can't sell it for actual cash? And how does that affect the overall
Well,
prices
I
of things?
mean, there is a, you know, I mean, a third party, there are markets out there. There are gold farmers for hardcore, and they do exist. I mean, is everybody in hardcore going out and purchasing, gold from those websites? No, but it does devaluate our currency a little bit when you have people, if you go into the hardcore channel, you'll see the spam constantly about purchasing gold. And out of curiosity, I've looked at the sites and looked at what they were selling, and a million gold is like, I can't remember now, I think maybe like 50 cents, or maybe it was a little bit lower than that. But it's out there. It does bring people who might be switching over. They might be taking that gold and bringing it with them. And then that's the other thing that kind of will devaluate our currency too, is when somebody who's made a name for themselves in softcore and decides to switch over to hardcore. A lot of times they don't like that concept of a complete fresh start. They work their butt off for that character, and they want to cash out, and then they want that gold to carry over. So you go on to the Diablo forums, and you see people posting saying, my softcore gold for your hardcore gold, and here's the ratio. um, and from what I've seen, usually it's like 3 to 1, or something like that. But then, they get other people to give them gold, and then, they're not starting fresh. They're starting with a huge pile of cash. I know, and then that
Bastards.
runs up items.
Always
I
one
know.
step ahead.
It's an interesting thing though. you have all these wheels kind of turning for the hardcore economy. You would think it would just be as simple as it possibly can be. We don't deal with real money or anything like that, but it was the same thing with Diablo 2. If there's a will, there's a way, and somebody's going to figure out something.
Of course, one of their big arguments for putting real money trading into Diablo 3 was that people did it anyway in Diablo 2, and it was black market, and you got your account ripped off,
Right.
etc. So it's funny that that's what the hardcore game plan was apparently.
Yeah, I guess I'm really surprised that we haven't heard anything, coming up on almost a year about even a possibility of an implementation of a real money auction house.
I,
We know the risks, we know the consequences. I guess I'm just really surprised that they haven't decided to kind of pull the trigger on it.
yeah, I kind of second that, and I actually even remember this was a while back. We're talking the Jay Wilson era. um, but I remember that it did get someone brought it up like pretty significantly after the game had released. Like now is the gold auction house an option? It was just one of those. If I'm remembering this correctly, it was one of those like offhanded kind of like if the community really wants it, then we'll end up putting it in. And it was just kind of like a kind of like a lip service thing because then they never really did anything after that. But still, I'm still surprised, like Xanth said, that they haven't actually revisited that just because people are people are finding ways to do it anyway. Of course, they were going to. I mean, that's not a surprise. So I wonder if they'll ever come back and put that in. They're so slow and silent on this kind of stuff, so I assume that it's not going to happen. But you never know. I guess they could.
Has Bobby lost his touch or what? I mean, we've had years of these jokes, and there's no RMAH in hardcore, and not going to be in console, and that's going to be 6 million Xbox players. Okay, not Xbox, but PlayStation players, sitting on the couch with mommy's credit card in hand and wanting to rock
So
something.
I actually didn't
Not to
hear.
not to grossly
Oh, I'm sorry.
characterize.
I was gonna say I didn't read up on that too thoroughly. So it's even softcore. There's no RMAH on the PS3. Okay.
Yeah, that was an interview from PAX just a couple
Okay.
of days ago. Said there's no real money auction
That's
house at
interesting.
all. And they're like, well, how would you keep the characters separate? And people are like, what? That's easy. Diablo 2 did,
Yeah, I
but I
think
don't know.
little.
But it's funny. I just figured they would. I mean, every game on the Xbox and PlayStation now has, map packs and stuff. I mean, that's how they make all their money on
Yeah, I was
expanded
gonna say like
content.
little console kitties are like the. I mean, that's just like a gold mine, man. That's surprising actually. Jeez.
Okay, one other thing on hardcore. Before the game came out, and when we first learned that there was going to be a shared stash, but not corpse looting, which is exactly the opposite of Diablo 2. There was some speculation in a hypothetical nature that perhaps you would have a couple of items on your character that were worth way more than your character and would be really hard to replace. And if you were going to do something really dangerous in the game, like say a certain boss was especially hard, like the way Duriel was in Diablo 2, you might take off your best gear and stick it in the stash. So in case you died, you wouldn't lose it, and it wouldn't be gear that was increasing your survival so much. Like say you had a really fantastic magic find kind of item. You would take that off before a really difficult part in case you died, so you could come back to it later. Both you guys are experienced hardcore players. Have you ever done anything like that at any point in your career?
No, not really. I can't say I have. Like, because if it's a magic find item, um, generally that's when greed takes over and overrides your sense of safety to some degree. At least for me, you know what I mean. Like if it's a boss or something, I'll miss the chance or whatever. But and then especially with I, I haven't found myself doing that. Like if I do have let's say I pick something up that I know is incredibly valuable, like some crazy set, and I just have it sitting in my stash. I mean, I instead of just like waiting around, I normally will deposit that. But I don't find myself normally depositing like the items that I'm wearing at the time because they're usually it's some sort of function that I'm trying to get for my farming or something like that. So I usually feel pretty safe, I guess, with what I'm wearing.
Okay, that was a no. How about you, Xanth?
Same thing. I mean, the only time I've ever made a trip to town to drop something in it, while in like the middle of a run was like if I found a really good legendary and it just kind of one of those things like, oh, I could sell this. So on the off chance I die, I would like to still be able to do that. But I've never taken a piece of gear off before doing anything, because usually, my gear is the reason I am surviving. So I'm not, yeah, if I die, then, that clearly that gear wasn't doing its job.
Yeah, I think the reason no one did that is because there's no trade-offs on gear in Diablo 3. Every great item has every great
Right.
Yeah,
stat, you
And
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's not we were thinking pre-game there'd be, like say imagine there was some helm that had like 100% gold find, and insert stats here, huge main stat, huge gold find, but didn't have vitality or resistance
Like
or
something
something like that.
creative.
Maybe in that case, yeah, yeah, like if they had actual
Right.
legendaries that were
Yeah.
interesting. Coming soon in an expansion near you. I mean, maybe in that case you'd be like, okay, I'll put this hat on when I'm not going to wear this for the dangerous part. But of course, the other aspect, there is no dangerous part. The dangerous part is some random boss that happens to have, Arcane Wall or Desecrator
right.
Jailer or something. Okay, maybe Belial, if you're going to say there's one part you actually really gear up for. But, that's not really the case. The randomness of the game, you never know where the danger is going to be. So it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
predict that in advance.
Usually get snaked by like a double champion pack or something, and then you didn't see it coming, kind of thing.
Or
Yeah.
a massive wall of lag. That would be about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, that too.
Yeah, the lag monster is everyone's favorite. I should mention I never really said how my Demon Hunter died. Like 56 Demon Hunter died last week or something. I was in a Act 1 hell, going slowly and carefully with a lot of CC skills and stuff. And I got a Cultist Berserker Champion pack that had Vortex, Vortex Frozen and something else. I can't remember, Fast or something like that. And they just got this perfect cascading series of like Vortex, Vault Out, Vortex, Vault Out, Vortex, Vault Out. And then I happened to get the Frozen one off right at the end of that. And so I'd used all my uh, discipline escaping the vortex 3 times in a row, and then I got popped by the frozen, and I had preparation and potion available, but couldn't use them while frozen, and they got hammer time on me. So that's kind of how the hardcore deaths go. It's always like this perfect storm of like four really horrible things happening in a row. I hadn't been below 50% health in the entire act to that point, and then suddenly it's like, hey, now you're dead.
Yeah,
So
Vortex
that
Yeah.
was fun.
is my least. Well, yeah, Vortex and then is my least favorite, and then where you get scared and run away. Why am I forgetting the name of that right now?
Nightmare.
Yeah, Nightmare. Nightmare
Nightmare.
is the most annoying in my opinion, but Vortex is definitely the scariest for me. Like, especially if they have like six arcane things spinning around and they just pull you back in when you can't. Yeah, that's the worst, dude.
I'm not a huge fan of Frozen, to be honest. That one scares me. Just the other day, was at a pack, got frozen, Serenity to get out of it, then got frozen again, and then had five of those fallen maniacs coming right at me. Um, Somehow managed to survive. No real idea how I did, but that one, I don't know. I just not a big fan of it. But the big thing, if we're talking about hardcore and we're talking about those death experiences, is some of my most successful classes so far have been the ones that can cheat it just a little bit. You look at the monk with near-death experience, the wizard, I forget, unstable anomaly, and then witch doctor with spirit vessel. Those are real game changers, I think, for hardcore. And you can still die. You can still hit those moments where everything just falls apart. But I actually procced near death experience while we were just talking.
Yeah.
Oh
That
yeah,
must have been exciting.
it definitely woke me up. I can tell you that.
If the Demon Hunter had any sort of skills like that, would you play one or still no?
Based on 1 through 17, no. The thing is, like most of those skills come at 60. I mean, near death experience and unstable anomaly are at 60. The only one who gets one prior to that is the witch doctor at 30, which really makes that 30 to 60 a little bit easier for the witch doctor. I was thinking, Flux, it would just be awful. You're 59 right before you get near death experience if you die.
Yeah. And of course, the whole fun of the game starts at 60 when, the whole item game appears and suddenly your character goes up in power by 87%, 87
Right.
times actually,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is why I was really delighted to die at 56 in my Demon Hunter just before it got interesting. So it's funny, yeah, because generally there aren't any skills. Okay, actually there are skills, as you just said, Xanth. There's some of them coming at 60, but a lot of builds, you've got all your skills at 55 or 58
Right.
or whatever. It's all about the items and the equipment, and once you get to 60, it's like a whole different game. So for all you noobs out there, okay, there aren't any noobs out there. There are no noobs left. Okay, okay, new topic. The itemization dev questions came back, and it seemed like a lot of we're working on it. It's hard to
Ugh.
say. Something we could explore. Definitely on the table. These are all quotes, by the way. So one of the site readers, this guy Karos, quoted all those in a thread, and then made a forum thread about it. And his comment has 98 upvotes last time I looked, which is more than usual. More than Jay Wilson sucks comments
Right.
get anyway. And it's just literally there's like 9 things he put in. We haven't finalized any systems yet. We want to make sure we make the right choice. It's certainly possible. And so people are questioning, why are they so slow? Are there too many cooks? They're ruining the soup. Can't they make a decision? And I think that. Oh, go ahead. Before I soliloquy. What do you guys think about that?
I thought the same way. Just reading all that stuff, I just felt I don't know. It's just the response is painfully slow. Like every time, like when I'm playing the game with my friend, like every time we come across something like we make some sort of snide comment about like what horrible game design must have what horrible game design philosophy drove this decision, and when they respond with like such tepid I don't know. Yeah,
Cautious.
it's not, but it's the same thing with StarCraft. I don't know if it's a Blizzard thing because Dustin Browder does the same stuff. He's very non-committal with anything he says. But it's a real bummer, dude, because especially with the itemization stuff, when they said like they're going to do 1.08 and then the items, like how long is that going to take? And I feel like no one there really understands like how important items are to keep people playing this game, like to make it you know what I mean, to get the hooks in a little bit deeper. So it's deflating, I think, when I read stuff like that.
I guess I wasn't really that surprised with those kind of responses, just due to the fact of, I feel like they're really trying not to upset people. Like really just like, oh,
Good luck
that
with
sounds
that.
great. We can work on that. We can try that, but we're not going to come out flat out and say, no, we're not going to do that because then you're going to anger somebody. Or, we tried that, it didn't work, because then people are like, hey, why didn't we get to see that? So I think it's just more like, okay, we'll explore this, and these are the questions they picked too, or that was upvoted or whatever. But um, it just, I guess I wasn't really expecting specifics like this is what we're gonna do. It feels like 1.08, and obviously itemization is really really far off. Like I feel like 1.07 and the crafting and everything was their really really big push, and now it's just kind of it feels back burnerish in some ways. We're going to draw attention to it. We'll do the ask the devs and stuff, but it really doesn't feel like there's a time frame like anywhere near what we would ideally want.
They've been doing well in their responses for the last few weeks, and people keep saying, "Oh, they get it, they understand the problems." But at some point, we want to see some results. They keep saying these things. They keep saying, "We understand that's a problem. We know you guys want this. We realize we agree." It's like, well, okay, let's see some results, right? Proof pudding
Yeah, yeah,
serving.
yeah, and it's again. I mean, I'm not gonna. I guess I don't want to reiterate, but it's just disappointing to see how it almost to me it seems like they don't understand why people liked the previous installments of the game at all. Like just based on the speed.
Based on the for last 10
Yeah,
months of the game, you're
yeah.
basing this?
I mean, every decision essentially is. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. It's. I just hope. I hope it kicks in sooner and they surprise us, but that never really happens.
I think part of to exculpate them a little bit, part of it is that they can't come out and say that's going to be in the expansion. That's going to be in the expansion. Mystics in the expansion. More sockets in the expansion. Jewels in the expansion. Because they haven't, of course, confirmed an expansion yet, at least officially. And they're not going to say we're waiting until the expansion to put this in because people will be like, oh, that's bullshit. I want it now. Put it in a patch.
Right.
But I mean, people have often said that they want to see the item system totally revised and make it so all the attributes are more useful for other characters and there's new item gear. And to some degree, they kind of
Yeah, they
can't do
can't.
that thanks to the
They
real money
definitely
auction
can't.
house and stuff. Because that would be like a massive upheaval, and suddenly every item you have is devalued, and everyone wants the new stuff. And I mean, they do these huge changes in World of Warcraft, but they're in expansions, and it's optional. If you don't want the new system, you can keep playing the old system. They can't really just throw in a patch and change the value of every single item in the game, because some of us would like that, but a lot of people would be like, "This is horrible. I'm going to burn down the internet now."
Yeah, and that
And as we've seen, they're very sensitive to angry fan comments in Diablo 3. They really work hard to
super
minimize
sensitive.
those.
But that's a good point, man. I mean, they can't. They definitely can't do anything at this point. But Yeah, so and I don't want to go back to it again, but they do that in StarCraft too. Like very very obvious features where like extremely basic features where then it took them so long they're just like, well, they then advertise it as an expansion feature, which I expect is going to happen here as well. I don't know about revamping the item system. I don't see them doing that, but maybe, maybe if they create, like you said, create a whole separate uh, server for for new players, kind of like on the new expansion. I'm not sure.
And they kind of figure most people will go over. I mean, they have with Warcraft, but there's a lot of people with Diablo that say, I'm not going to buy the expansion, I hate the game, etc. So, but I kind of figure that, it's easy to say that when the actual product's available and there's a shiny new character and a whole new act. They're like,
Yeah,
ooh,
they'll say
shiny.
that they're gonna buy it. It happens.
And people bought the freaking Panda packs. I mean, obviously, people will buy
Right.
anything. You're paying Kung Fu Panda for $60 a month or whatever it
Well,
costs.
I
So,
mean, you
we have no
look at the
control.
response when the game was first announced with the auction house and people who are saying I'm not going to buy the game because of that, and then it goes on to sell tell what 10 million copies or whatever. Um,
In the first
right.
month, yeah.
So I mean, we can say we'll boycott something, and that when it's actually in front of us, it's too tempting.
Yeah. And you're a married man, so you know what that's all about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so last topic, console. Once we've mentioned this in the past a few times, and they've given us a little more detail. We saw some videos of it from the. It's now showing at the Penny Arcade
Yeah.
Expo this weekend. Are you guys following that? Are you curious? Do either of you own a PlayStation
Um,
3?
Yeah, I sorry, go ahead, Xanth.
Oh, I don't own a PS3. I've got a 360, but to be honest, I took a look at the video a couple of times, taking a look at the new interface and just the way.
And the rolling
Yeah, I
barb
saw
dive
that. I
thing.
was like, what the heck? I'm like, that looks cool. I was actually I liked it. It kind of made me, I play the game pretty frequently, and it made me excited to kind of log in and um, I don't know. From my perspective, I don't think I would purchase it. I don't own a PlayStation. I don't plan on purchasing one. Um, but I could see where somebody, who maybe doesn't have it on, on PC would maybe, be intrigued by it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a PlayStation. I mean, but obviously, since I classify this in my head as a PC game, I would never buy it on the console. But I can see how it would be fun. And are they planning on doing like an on-screen multi kind of thing?
Yeah, there's no split screen. You're all four on. It's basically Gauntlet. Do you remember
Because
Gauntlet, the old arcade
that
game?
would be super fun, actually.
Okay, so last topic quickly, expansion thoughts. It's been a long time. We know we're talking about itemization. Most people seem to think we're going to get an announcement at BlizzCon this year, if not sooner. Of course, that's still, 7 months away, so it's a while. But what are you guys looking forward to in an expansion? Do you have any wish lists or dream features besides an itemization overhaul?
No, you took away the only thing I want.
Well, you could
Well,
have that too.
Uh,
yeah, I mean, items are, I mean, that's everything. But like, I think it would be cool, if they bring in the Mystic, or if they bring in some sort of, I don't know, something else to socket a little bit more interesting. I remember like in D2, like there were certain like go-to easy rune words I'd always get that I always looked forward to. Like, there was this one.
What's a rune word? I
There
don't
was
know
this
what
one
those
called
are.
like King's Grace. I'd always get for my barb sidekick, and like just when I was starting, it was something cool to look forward to. So like gems are a little boring after a while. I think they could get creative with that. Something else to put in there that would be cool, and obviously new content we want, but something just to add a little more diversity to the stat allocation and the play styles through how we can change our items. I don't know. People are talking about like can we get adding sockets back? I, at this age, I think that's a little overpowered. It might be. I'm not sure how they'd handle that. Considering like the difference between like a $1 billion echoing fury and one that's total junk is usually a socket to some degree. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure how they'd handle that, but items, sockets, something else to socket into the sockets, that kind of stuff. Mystic would be cool. Yeah.
I guess, I had mentioned it earlier. I'd like to kind of see a new, UI. Something maybe harking back to D2, like that, the old school general chat avatars and stuff like that. Just kind of building the Diablo 3 community up a little bit more. I figure a new expansion would be a perfect place to kind of get that going. And from there, who knows? Maybe. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to a new class. You know that would happen, obviously. Um, Something that doesn't suck like a demon hunter. Um,
Heretic.
it'll be
They're only unplayable in hardcore. They're
well,
great in
I
softcore.
will never find that out. Um, but uh, I don't know. I think really that's the biggest thing for me is I want that social aspect back, and I think an expansion is a good place to build off of that because I imagine the user interface right now and going back and rebuilding that would be a pain, but maybe with the expansion it's doable. And maybe another big thing for me too is how linear the games are. I would love to be able to jump from Act One to Act Three to, well, yeah, maybe just those two, but being able to do that would be nice instead of having to continuously run Act Three, starting from Asmodean and working my way backwards. I'd love to actually feel the need to play the other content because it could be more effective as opposed to just running the same thing over and over. But the way the system's set up, you're so pigeonholed into just that. And I know they changed it so Nephilim Valor would switch between acts, but that really only does you good, from maybe, the end of Act Three into a little bit of Act Four, whatever.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
Rakanoff
That
feature.
that's really it.
It has
Yeah,
no
the
other
Reckonoff
function than
feature.
Rakanoff.
Right. I mean, is anybody doing that? I mean, is anybody going from, starting in Act One and just going all the way through, to farm? No. I think the real concept is, destroying that linear nature of the game a little bit and letting us kind of go free for all like the way Diablo was, where you could kind of just do what you wanted.
That's a radical concept. Let players do what they
I
want and
know
have fun doing it.
No,
it's probably too
no.
extreme. I probably shouldn't even be saying it.
Well, given that every other change in Diablo 3 has been slowly turning it back into
Right.
Exactly.
Diablo 2, it's not
That's
out of
true,
the
man.
question.
It looks a little. Sometimes it looks a little pathetic on the forums. A little bit to me. It's like, oh, guys, sorry. It's kind of like, guys, sorry. What did you actually want? And then everyone tells them what they want, and it kind of slowly moves that way. It's kind of. I don't know. I think it's funny.
And they say, "Oh, those are really good ideas. That's definitely on the table. We're going to discuss that next week at a meeting with 14 people." It's funny people are complaining about. I mean, in the comments on that post, people are like, "Well, they have too many people making decisions, and it takes them too long to come to a conclusion." That's a possibility, but remember when like Jay Wilson was there like a month ago, and everyone was like, "Jay Wilson ruined the game. All his decisions are horrible." You can't criticize the game for having one person making decisions, or the appearance at least of one game director designing things, and then say that sucks, and then also say it sucks when there's a committee of people all doing decisions. I mean, I guess you could say they both suck, but if you're going to criticize the process and the techniques, they've had kind of both, and apparently the people don't like either of them. So I guess you want Dave Rivik back, basically. But of course, but even then, it was a committee thing. And what I said in the news post about this is that they have this. One of the strengths of Blizzard's game design, we've always been told, is that everybody has a voice, and the guys doing the artwork for the Paladin or whatever can suggest features, and actually that happened a lot. Achille Johnson did the artwork for the Paladin and suggested a lot of features in Diablo 2, but it's not just there's one person implementing all the features and everyone else is just carrying out their orders. It's a whole collaborative thing. But then maybe that collaboration ends up where they can't get anything done and can't make any final decisions. And if you don't have the same viewpoint, then no one knows what they want. So we're doomed, basically.
Yeah.
That's a sunny outlook.
Oh, my biggest wish list for the expansion. I want to see all my buffs at the same time. Is that too
Oh
much of a
man,
freaking ask?
you know what?
Thank
You
you.
know what drives me nuts, dude?
More than
Like if you're
five.
using Bash with Punish.
No, but I don't play. Barbarians are
Okay,
wrong. You
so if
shouldn't
you're
play
using
that.
Frenzy, right, and you have the little stack, like the 5 stacks, why don't they give you one for Bash? Not that you'd see it anyway, because you'd have more than 5. But like you can't ever tell if it's gonna run out. It drives me insane.
Maybe you do get it. You just
Maybe
never
that's
seen it
true. It's
before.
possible, I guess.
It's just off to the
Ugh.
right there. Yeah, we did a whole thing on that on the podcast like 2 or 3 shows ago, so we don't need to rerun it. But yeah, it's pretty ridiculous that you can't see all your buffs, and they've commented on it and saying, well, it would mess up the UI. It's like what messes up the UI? Not being able to see all your buffs. That's what messes up the UI. And I mean, in Xanth, I think I
Yeah.
was with you, Xanth, and we're like, well, I never know my sweeping wind. You get multiple buffs. You get you short-term boost with the paladin, the monk. I repeatedly write paladin these days instead of monk. It's something wrong with me. At least I can
Yeah.
say artisans now, not artesian. That took me a year and a half to learn, but
I
Okay, anyway, we're rambling here. Final thoughts, guys?
Um, Play hardcore and give it a shot.
Yeah, do hardcore. Play hardcore. I'm with Xanth. It's way.
What are your highest level softcore characters, guys? 10?
Um, Currently, I mean, I have a level one because I like to occasionally check the softcore auction house to see what that's like. But I got to 10 the night of release and then made a hardcore character and deleted it.
I have one that's like,
How about you?
yeah, I have one that's like 30. I have like a level 30 monk that I played, and that's by the time I switched over.
So your highest level softcore character was in the beta, Xanth.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're right on that.
You had some 13s in the beta, and then it's all been
Yeah,
downhill since then.
and no intention of going back at this point. It was kind of one of the, I mean, it was the
Yeah, why
same
would
thing
you?
in D2 though. Once I had gone hardcore, I never really could go back. Um, it just, it's a, it's the same game, but the way, the way you play and I guess how enjoyable it actually is, it prevents you from really kind of going back to the other side. Not that there's anything wrong with softcore, and obviously there's a lot of people.
Yes, there is. Come on, say
No,
it's
I'm not,
wrong.
I'm not like an elitist or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with it. People play what they want to play, but I guess, what hardcore does is it adds another rule to the game, and that rule, is just more enjoyable for me.
Yeah, I'm with Xanth. I can't go back, and I think the main factor is just like the gravity of your decisions. Like when you get a really close call and you see the heartbeat and the red on your screen. Like when you do that in softcore, I don't. Well, I guess I don't play it that much. I imagine I wouldn't care, but like when I do it in hardcore, my heart is like if I live, I'm pounding. Like it's a total adrenaline rush. It's really fun to play that way.
Well, and
Yeah, there's the benefit of softcore is that there's an archer class in the game you can play then, and the other fun thing is that sometimes when you die, I'm sure you guys were very sympathetic in the last patch when they lowered the respawn time to 3
oh
seconds
yeah,
always. So when you die in softcore, previously you'd wait like 3 seconds. If you died like 5 or 6 times on the same thing, it would start getting longer and longer. It'd be like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So you can imagine, the softcore challenge. I mean, sometimes it takes you currently, as long as 3 seconds to respawn after you die and to run back from the checkpoint. I mean, so you guys think it's pretty tough in hardcore, but I mean, you got to realize sometimes as much as 8 or 10 seconds of delay when you die in
there's
softcore. So I mean,
there's
that
the
adds up.
difference. Respawn times. That's it.
Similar, no, not even that, dude. Similarly, I laughed whenever the big debate about like repair costs was coming around. Like whenever you died, you were, yeah. I was like, well, my repair costs are never that bad. I thought that was kind of goofy.
Well, there's one time that they're really bad, and that's it. But you
Oh,
gotta die.
yeah, rebuild everything. Yeah, that's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the replacement costs are kind of high. You mean not so much repair. Yeah, so see, I knew you guys could be elitist. I just had to lead you to the water, and then you
Oh
drank
no, no,
thirstily like
I am.
equines.
I'm probably unapologetic about it. I just can't go back, man. I don't know. I'll try to convert people if I can. I'll proselytize a little bit. Come to hardcore, guys.
Yes, well, and you'd be happy to give them all your
Oh
tons
no,
of
no,
secrets to get
I'm
them
not giving
started.
you anything. Come on over.
No. Okay, we've rambled on here. Thanks for listening to the Diablo podcast. We are online at diablopodcast.com. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Moo.
Bye. Boo.
Boo.